What's up guys, Crypto4Dex here, and today we're going to be looking at a VOD review, and we're going to be doing a review of a game I played in the last patch of TFT, 17.4b. I have done a previous recording of this, however I did lose the footage for it, so we are just going to be redoing it all over again. AP Shepherd's board is currently in S tier comp. However, I play a different variation of it, playing around something a little bit different, and we're going to reflect over that in this follow-up game. We do have stats here just to make sure that everything is backed up, and we're just going to kind of focus on what I do in this game, right here. So, in this game, I ended up playing a pretty interesting line. We're going to have a look at what I played. And first augment, yep, it's going to be a silver augment. We see Survivor here, and we're thinking gold value is definitely going to be really nice. We'll be able to scale late game really nicely, go to fast 8, be able to get some units. I check the Arbiter, pick up Leona pretty quickly, and it looks like it is going to be an AP Shepherd board. Fairly simple, we have the items for it. We do have a bit of an awkward sword, but I do end up fixing that issue. Just having a look at some of these enemies, they're going to be a bit of an issue, but we do come across this AFK board, so these can build quite a lot of people really early. Pretty simple, kind of just focusing on getting as many Leonas as possible. There is some recent nerfs to the Leona comp, so it is a lot less valuable now, so hitting Leona 4 is going to be quite difficult. However, just making sure that you can hit Leona 3 is going to be quite nice. So this game, most of the time, you will see the Leona 3. You do see me look at a couple of units on the occasion, like Rost definitely does fit the board, the AP Shepherd board of course, if we just have a look at that, just quickly just here. The Rost does slot in at level 9, it's pretty nice to have the unit on the board, but like I say, most of these units we probably won't focus around. We'll have a couple of them, we'll have the Sona, we'll have the Mordekaiser, but we'll get to it eventually. So we are currently looking for our board, we're kind of just thinking, okay, what do we want to play? Lysandra is immediately making the forward. We actually think about playing for Darkstar. A pretty interesting variation. No one really ever plays for Darkstar. It's not normally worth it. You're best off just going either just 2 Darkstar to get the execution, or just going for 6 Darkstar just to get that really nice supermassive effect on your main carry unit. Typically Kai'Sa, typically Karma, one of the two, give or take. And you're just making sure we can find all our units. We do not find any units within the early stages, we're just hoping to win streak. It's a fairly easy thing to do. However, with our board, we don't have any tank items, we kind of have this awkward sword, and we don't exactly have the most optimal units. And we do have the Cho'Gath, which is a bit random for this comp, but otherwise, having the Cho'Gath just gives us Darkstar synergy. We don't have Lysandra right now, so it's not too much of a concern. This is the game that really kind of holds it back. We realize that, yes, the enemy is contested us quite nestily. The enemy has Leona, has Cho'Gath, and has the Mordekaiser. We're just going to make it difficult to hit our units. We do lose this fight just solely due to the fact that the Rek'Sai and Leona are way too tanky. Fortunately, though, we do have the Leona printer. This is really nice to have. We pick Prosperity here just to make sure that Leona has a bit more health to work with. And we pick up the Cloak just to make sure we have a bit of extra magic resists when faced against those AP boards. And really, it's just about finding a Gargoyle Stone play, getting the Leona 3, and finding maybe some 2-star units. We find Alawi and Zoe in the shop. Alawi is an easy unit to slam on the board, it's a nice Vanguard, and most of the time it's a pretty good tank when you go into late game if you don't find the Leona 3, which in this case we are probably going to find it. And I do use the duplicator here on the Zoe, just to make sure we got a bit extra strength. We're going to get back into win streaking then. This is the board we're facing as of current moment. It's nothing too crazy, just the Teemo, Nasus. Nasus and Teemo did receive buffs in this most recent patch, so they're going to be a little bit more threatening as we go along with this board. Put it simply though, we're just kind of thinking about LeBlanc. It's kind of the main unit we really want to play around. We do find Lysandra, and we do consider playing it, but we think, okay, Cho'Gath might as well get a few stacks if he's going to be useful for this comp. We might end up flipping over to Karma Jhin at some points. Or just Karma in general. Karma's a nice AP unit to place on the board. Jhin can hold the AD items. We could always switch off Kai'Sa for Jhin later down the line. I'm pretty sure in this game we just don't do that though. We end up sticking with the 4 Darkstars we already have, just making sure we have the nice board strength. We don't have to change units and be a little bit weaker against some of the late game boards. We just want to make sure we maintain as much health as possible. And ending up stage 2-6, we're just kind of trying to find a 4th Darkstar to kind of fit the board. Leveling to 6 doesn't seem too appealing right now. We haven't found many units. I mean, I guess we could sell another Lysandra, but it's nothing too crazy. And it's kind of just aiming for the Leona 3, hitting the Gargoyles, going from there. We find a couple of interesting items here. We don't seem too fussed about the large rod until we do hit cloak. So we go Analog Spark, pretty easy to fit on the board, especially considering it's an AP board. We have no Aatrox, especially considering Aatrox does not fit this board. But having the Analog Spark just means that you're going to have a bit of extra damage from your late game units. So LeBlanc is going to deal more damage, or Sona's going to deal more damage. It's just nice to know that that's going to be a good thing. We do notice that another board is contested quite heavily. The Lissandra was there just like holding a rogue emblem, which is something we noticed immediately. Having the rogue on Lissandra is a bit interesting, nothing too crazy. We end up beating this Anima board. The Anima board is going to be a bit concerned. However, it's not a huge cash out because they are quite low for a stage 3, and they should have more stacks, I guess. They should be like 250 give or take. We see Earth here, it's pretty much just pick the Earth. That's what we're thinking. We immediately slam the Arbiter, and the main idea behind this is just to make sure that we're getting more attacks off, we're getting more Leonas. This is going to make us hit Leona 3 quicker, and this is now a point where we can consider Leona 4. Previously, it was a lot less likely, considering that 8% chance at the time. This has been nerfed to 5%. It's nothing crazy. You're probably not going to hit 2 Leonas. You hit 2 Leonas on a nice occasion. We do roll into X feet, and this player is going to be an absolute menace throughout the entire game. It has Expedition as cybernetic uplinks. I'm pretty sure it's uplinks anyway. And this is just going to make the boards really difficult to deal with. The Samira especially is going to be really tough because this is pre-nerf Samira, so it's just insane to play against. And we're thinking of just maintaining econ. It's basically simple. Just keep the 50 econ, slow level to level 6 and level 7, bring in Kai'Sa, bring in LeBlanc. It's pretty simple. And we'll just be able to slam that Infinity Edge, which is looking very juicy for that Kai'Sa later down the line, just to make sure we have a bit of AD on the board. Obviously, normally we wouldn't build AD, because it's normally a full AP line, but having a bit of flexibility between the damages is always nice. However, if it was like a bit higher level lobby, this would probably be a pretty bad play. So we do get Leona 3 on stage 3-3, just making sure that we hit it as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we couldn't hit stage 3-1 or 3-2. We take the rerolls here, pretty easy pick, and we pick up the bow, just hoping to potentially get Ginsu later down the line. And items do become a bit of a problem in stage 3 because we don't really have frontline items. That's kind of the issue for the entire game. Most of stage 3 and start of stage 4, we just don't have any frontline items apart from that Ionic Spark. And we're really just thinking about hitting our units at this point. We do find Mordekaiser 2. We're thinking about Cho'Gath 3, but it's a bit late to go for it. It's not much hope to go for Cho'Gath 3 compared to what we could have done a bit earlier in the run. However, it's definitely something we could have considered at the time if we hit more Cho'Gaths, but with how contested we are, we ended up just selling the Cho'Gaths a bit later down the line. This Meepsy here, a bit of concern, nothing too crazy. It's not got the second Gargoyles yet, so it's not going to be too much problem. At this point, it's just holding Leonas, because we know that Leona 4 is definitely an option. We hit Kai'Sa, and we're thinking about switching things up. We do end up going for the Darkstar, just to make sure our board's got a bit more strength. We can get back into win streaking. We did lose our streak a bit earlier on in stage 3, which sucks. It means we're losing out on econ, but we are at that 51 econ. It's quite juicy. It just makes sure that we can maintain our board quite nicely. I think the main concern at this point is dealing with the Lissandra board here, just dealing with the Anima cash out potentially. That could be a pretty nasty cash out to deal with. And we also have to worry about some later game boards as well, so stuff that scales a bit later down the line, so like end of stage 4, start of stage 5. We're looking at leveling a bit here. Stage 3-7, we're just hoping that the Soraka is going to really give Leona quite a ton of HP. Prosperity isn't too crazy, it just makes sure that Leona has some HP scaling, which normally Leona likes to have. Just making sure having that Leona with the large amounts of HP. We do have 3 bows here, which is kind of awkward. We could build red buff Ginsus, but I don't think I was too keen on it at the time, so I do end up reforging. We hit the giant spell as well, which means that we are going to get the Nashers for the late game Sona. We are going to get the Ginsus for the late game LeBlanc. And we just had a nice spot, and overall it means that Zoe's going to get more attacks off, we're going to get more Leonas, and it's going to be quite nice and comfortable for a mid-game section. Zoe's going to deal some nice damage, and Twisted Fate, quite scary. TF reroll did get buffed in that patch, so it is a concern to face, and we do see a Prismatic Element. Earths is initially a good idea. We see Component Heist immediately, and yeah, this seems like a pretty easy pick. We have no tank items whatsoever, so having tank items in this spot is actually pretty nice. And we are thinking of siding with Ori here just to get some XP, be able to get to level 8, get to level 9. But then we remember we have Survivor, so it's realistically probably going to be a Soraka game. Just make sure that we can last long enough to actually face some of these other boards. And we do roll into the Anima cash out, and he has Savage Slicer on the Belveth, and you can just see from the gameplay here, it didn't last long. We didn't last very long against this board. The Belveth with the AoE cast is really going to be tough to deal with, especially with the Vamp as well. It's just going to make Belveth so tough to deal with. It looks like a Challenger Jigs board as well, so we're just going to kind of like worry about that. We're going to come across that board a little bit more often than we want to. And that does end our streak again, which does suck. We end up losing, like right as we get into a win streak, quite frequently in this game, which really does put us in a bad spot. We could roll into this Stargazer board with a Caitlyn 3, and this does absolutely destroy us. We are not at the point where we're at our proper board yet. So we're really concerned. We might bleed out. We might end up losing this game if we don't hit anything good. We see Blessing Size. It's just an easy pickup. Like, the rerolls definitely look appealing, but the size Blessing is definitely just nice. We take the Akali here to build a Warmogs, just to make sure we have a bit of extra value. We were initially going to just look for Nashers, but yeah, we're not going to hit the Nashers, and we're just kind of looking for units at this point. We find Blitzcrank in the shop, which is going to be our 4th Vanguard, and it is going to solidify our Vanguard position. It's going to give us 4 Vanguards. It's nothing too crazy, but it means that eventually we can move the emblem from Cho'Gath to the Blitzcrank. It'd be around this point where you start looking for your board, then go to level 9 because you do have the Survivor buff. However, in this spot, I just see that I can definitely go to level 10. And it's just a nice point where I can eventually roll down and hit the units. And in this moment, I do see Sona. And initially, I wasn't going to build Sona. I was kind of just looking at level 8, and then I was going to play a level 8 board. But Sona's nice to have, and it is a Shepherd as well, so it's going to give us a lot more buffs. And yeah, it's just a very simple board. I think it's about this point where we start thinking about moving the Arbiter emblem over to the Blitzcrank, just to make sure that we're getting a few more attacks in, getting more casts off, and it's really just thinking about scaling up our board. This Meepsy was absolutely huge, so nothing really we could do against this board. We do get another Leona, so we're kind of just concerned now. We get the immediate Gunblade. Gunblade's nice for this board, nothing too crazy, but the Zoe's going to really take advantage of it for the time being, so we might as well slam it either way. And it just means we get a bit of gold value, we can get our gold back up, we can go level 9 potentially if we outplay these enemies in the lower areas. So at this point, it's kind of just thinking, how do I scale my board and how do I cap out? Well, really it's just thinking about getting the units up to 2-star, especially the Blitzcrank, find the Sona. At this point, I'm not thinking too much about playing Sona onto the board. I do have the Sona, but it's not something on my mind. However, it's nice to hold anyway, just in case I don't hit the LeBlanc. We roll it into the TF board, and this is terrifying, because yes, it's being a contested board, but the TF is really, really strong. But at this point, we're in a quite comfortable spot. We're able to quite nicely deal with most of these enemies. We do lose this fight, unfortunately. The TF is just absolutely ridiculous. It was looking like a winning spot initially, but the TF just high rolling some nice numbers. It just resulted in us all kind of losing the fight. We are holding on to Zoe here, just in hopes of going for Zoe 3, but I'm pretty sure we don't end up finding the Zoe 3. We just end up selling it off eventually. We're just looking at playing down to Leona 4, going for Blitzcrank 2, going for Sona 2, looking for the LeBlanc, which we still haven't hit by this point.
Help you understand a little bit more.
And I'm pretty sure no one's contesting this board either. We roll into Belveth, it is over, and we're just going to be really, really low health. So having the Soraka boon just really help us with some health. Just make sure that we last a bit longer. This is the point we do get our component heist items, and we've slammed Gargoyles, we slammed the Chojin onto the Kai'Sa, and we slammed the JG onto the Blitzcrank. Just make sure we get a bit of extra damage output, making sure Blitzcrank's actually worth it. We also get the Nashers as well, so this was actually perfect slams for this board. So in the end, component heist end up being just 4 extra items, which is always really good for a board. It just means that we're going to be a little more valuable. Soraka's going to give us more health, which Leona really wants. We do get our second 3-star Leona here, which is really, really comfortable. In this spot, we just kind of take the Morellos. We see that we haven't got any anti-heal. So having it where Zoe can just have some widespread anti-heal, we do slam it on Melisandre. I have no idea why I slammed it on Melisandre. We probably should have just kept the JG Nashers on something else, go on level 9, bring the Sona. It's just simple. We get the burn mod, which is kind of awkward because we just grabbed Morelos. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of extra damage output. It goes on the Kaiser quite comfortably. We are going to get quite a bit of a close encounter, but the Leona with the goggles ends up being so much better, and we're able to tank way more hits, just making our board scale a bit nicely. And we do end up getting the Survivor gold here, so at this point, I'm thinking, okay, let's just level to level 10. We have a bit extra gold, and we can roll for our board. I ended up picking Shen here, and I guess it's just because of the fact that the LeBlanc can get attack speed. You find Blitzcrank 2, we considered Sona, we sell off, I think, Lysandra here. Yep, Lysandra. So it is kind of just thinking about getting our board, and I do end up selling one of the Zoes, get the LeBlanc, and this is the point where I'm thinking, yeah, I'm probably not going to keep the Zoe. I'm probably just going to get rid of it, bring in the LeBlanc, because there's no need to build 4 Arbiter. It's kind of just stick with 3. So, yep, we bring in the Sona, we sell off the Zoe, and we do go trying to get some more units. So we do find some nice items for Sona. We roll a shot once more, we do find our Sona. The last thing we're looking for is that Shen and then that 4-star Leona. So we're in a pretty decent spot. We're able to get a quite comfortable board. We have the Shen giving us some extra attack speed. And from this anvil, we find Arc Staff, which is going to be our best of the slot items for LeBlanc. We could have really used the Rabadon's Death Cap, but it's the end of the day. It's an extra AP item. It gives a spell crit, so that's pretty good. So having Arc Staff and JG, it just means we're going to have huge output, and we're going to absolutely wipe this guy's board. So Biomaraz had an amazing board. He was 6 mech, well 5 mech, but this at the end of the day was just going to lead to his full. And we're getting really close to like the end of the game. It is really close. XV is quite high in HP for 6-2. And yeah, this is the other person. He is the Anima cash out. So we're kind of concerned about the Anima cash out board. We are going to run into him now, and we're going to see, do we beat this board? He is level 9, nothing too crazy, but we are level 10, and we have scaled up our board quite nicely. You notice here, the Belveth immediately dies. It's basically no effort put into that fight. And it's at this point where I realize, I don't know why I said this in-game, but I said that we could still go Leona 4, but we don't really have the health for it. The enemies don't have enough health for it, so this seemed like it was going to be the last fight. I do position my board units to be on the other side to deal with the Samira. Unfortunately, he does position his units on the other side of the board, and as a result, this is going to make it so that most of my tanks just die really early. I'm really hoping the LeBlanc doesn't die here, the Leona dies immediately, the LeBlanc gets killed, and we end up losing this game, really unfortunately. But it was second place, pretty nice, and in the end of the day, we ended up getting some nice LP. We ended up ranking up this game as well, if I just quickly showed that off. Yep, we immediately promoted to Plat 1, which is nice. That was my promotion game. But at the end of the day, it does show that this board is really, really strong in the late game. We could have definitely pivoted to a different version of the board. We could have got Karma in, we could have got the Beepsy in, but we kind of just stuck with what we had. Anyway, thank you for listening to this VOD review. Really what we learnt about it was just that positioning matters so much. Once again, have a good day everyone.